Hello, everyone. My name is Notepad, and I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today, obviously, we are going to be working more on the funny dog game. And the funny dog game is being a pain in my ass. But hey, that's the fun part, right? So, what have we done? What are we doing? How do we do things? Well, today I want to finish all the pre-work up. Yes, I want to finish all of the pre-work, and that means I want to make sure all of this works fine enough. This is going to be difficult. I believe in ourselves. Maybe. I might believe in me, but I would like to say, believe in the me that believes in you and all that shit. I don't know if that's true here or not. I really cannot tell. This has been kind of hell for a while, and there's a few reasons for it, but, so, effectively, let's do, three skills bundled together. And then we do put this here. There we go. All right, so where are we on Borzoi? Well, we've got our stats. We've got our vague skill system. I want the skill system to work. I think that's the beautiful thing. I want the skill system to work, and I can see it working. It is just that it is very... Change the color on this. It did. Huh, weird. One thing that I'm seeing with the skill sets is I don't know if people are going to be able to get them because cyberpunk character archetypes are a very weird thing to address. Because it is impossible to find a fucking list of them. Fun fact. Just go put that out there. It is very fucking difficult. Because cyberpunk, and I want to say I fucking hate Mike Pondsmith. I want it to be known, you can clip this, you can send this to Mike himself. I fucking hate you. Finding anything. Did I find that, did I find the combat system you liked? Well, effectively... we came up with a solution. Not a great solution, but it is, in fact, a solution. And that is mostly actually deriving it from Palinka, Palinka effects, with combat mapping. Now, what do I mean by that? In Palinka effects, since I have this already, one of the ideas with the concept of its combat map is you are able to go from Arena 1 to Arena 2 to Arena 3. That's kind of the idea. We start in Arena 1, we run a path, we go to Arena 2. Same thing down here. Arena 1, move to Arena 2. This is the big thing, because, this is obviously a setting, Palinka effect is a very hard, very over-the-top fantasy system. It's a very fantasy-esque system, it's a very fantasy-esque concept. Anime bullshit notwithstanding. So what we need to do is we need to tone this back for a cinematic flair up here. And that would be the ultimate goal, anyway, is to create a cinematic flair with the idea of forward momentum. It is a very weird thing that I want to get, which is the concept of forward momentum. That is something I want to get across. Pond Mike Smith is an interesting man. Mike Pondsmith has ruined Cyberpunk, and I will say this every time he comes up. Did you want enemies to be fairly squishy? Enemies should feel fairly squishy. Like, your normal unnamed goon is going to be fairly squishy. Going up against people who are equal to you is dangerous, if that makes sense. I think I have kind of a way of doing this. Mostly when it comes down to this system. Like, most punks you encounter are going to have very little body armor, or any body armor for that matter. So it's like, they're going to lack the overhealth. Someone who's a little bit more competent is going to have a lot more body armor, is going to be able to soak a lot more damage, which is kind of the big thing there. You know, disposable goons are weaker by their nature, and because they are weaker by their nature, they do not have all the protections you do in or out of setting. We mow through 15 gangsters like it's nothing, but their boss is a pain in the ass and we have to put a few more in them. So, with this idea, what I want to accomplish is let's say we have to hit a corporate office. We want to hit an office floor. We fundamentally know that this is an office floor, but let's say we insert here. We would know what this room is, and we could say, okay, we can follow the path in here, we can follow the path in here, and that leads to kind of more rooms and more things developing from there. The idea would be, we need to abstract the momentum of moving, and effectively we need to abstract concepts like that and keep it in the player's hands, being like, this is a plan, what are you doing? And this is a pain in my ass. So okay. I think basic character concepts will work for now. Do I like all of this? Not exactly, and that's just a me thing. I don't think I'll ever be quite happy with it until I get it exactly the way I want it. I might have to wait till I just write it to feel like it's going to work. But if we use the idea of the Plink effect mapping, we can get that force movement as well as entering and exiting locations very much based on your own volition. That's the hard part. Because Palinka effect really does assume that once you're sequestered off into another arena, you're sequestered off. Like, you are in a different location. What we need to have happen is that entire, metaphorical office space. This metaphorical office space needs to be interactable, if that makes sense, as things start going more and more wrong. And easier for people to connect with one another while maintaining that beat. And that's the hard part. Okay. I do like the idea of the combat stance. Now, basic concept behind the combat stance is effectively, are you acting aggressive? Are you, I don't know how to default. Again, I don't know how to word it. Or defensive. If you're aggressive, you have low defense, low to hit, effectively, bonus to attack. And that's kind of runs counter to defensive posturing, which is high defense bonus. It's, hey, I am able to defend myself, but attacking gets a lot more complicated. It's a lot more difficult. It's I want to stick in cover versus I'm going full out. Do you John Woo dive through the wall, or do you kick open the door while hiding behind the side? It's very different ways of approaching the same situation. A havoc meter to mess up how messed up the area is. See, like, do you consider, I guess the best way to think about it is in this metaphorical office space. Again, you enter through this area. Do you consider this the arena? Do you consider this the arena, or do you consider this an arena? Both of those are very different ideas. Because if we do the entire idea, like the entire battle space that is currently unfolding is an arena. It is shit is hitting the floor fan, you know, half the building's on fire, the other half is filled with gun smoke kind of thing. If you do like individual, it's just like then tracking individual havoc meters doesn't seem as good. Unfortunately. This has definitely been one of the more complicated games I've written. By the way, Trundlewood is not going to be this complicated. I'm going to make it an astute fucking point that it's not going to be complicated because we already have a system for it, thankfully. How to shoot Badman, Palinka macking, Void combat mapping. I feel like there's something we can do here to connect these two. I guess the idea is, like, how do you do randomized combat arenas? How do you restrict random combat arenas? A weird thing to state, but yeah, that would be the question, is how do you... I guess we could just use Crucible. Okay, alternate plan. We put in the Chaos Arena system. That feeds into the random combat maps. We would need to have an option of... Effectively, I guess Palinka combat mapping would be the idea of adding a new... As a player, you are purposefully wanting to start a brand new the thing, effectively. That is you saying, I am opening up a new set piece. I am opening up a new battlefield. Like, I am clearly opening up something. That could work. That's effectively what this does. I'm gonna check something. Hello, Cruciform. Hello, darling. It's been a while, hasn't it? Arena of the Supernatural. I guess we can use things like this, and we establish... Because the idea of cinematic is like, hey, you're adding this whenever you choose to make a ranged attack. You know, it's like, cinematic is, this is a cool place to have a fight, you want to have a fight there. I guess we would need to, if we open up Palinka Effect. We open up Palinka Effect. Hello, Palinka Effect. It's been a while, hasn't it? Rush of Blood, Cursed Fields. Because you also have things like this. I guess the idea is that if we have our fictional office map, the fictional, you know, rectangle office map we insert from the corner. This would be declared a point of interest, and then we would effectively be creating, there would be zones maybe like this or something. You know, you kind of get the idea. It's, let's say the dice connecting looks something like this. You should be able to say, I want to make my own pathway here, and this is where the Palinka effectisms come in. Okay. That is you saying we are forging a new path to a location. Okay, we just have to use chaos mapping. I was overthinking that. We use chaos mapping, we use Cruciform's chaos map system. We added probably 2 more for the idea of John Woo diving, and... okay. Okay. Yeah, we could add things like that. Because one of the things in here is it's cover, it's a tactical advantage, it's cinematic, things like that. If we want to have something like a red barrel would be an incidental. I put in... Which game had... no, that would... Oh, no. Oh, no, it's come back yet again, everybody. Truly, I can never escape the greatest game of all time. Okay. It all comes back down to Fortissimo, everyone. I can't escape it, and neither can you. But the idea works. Hey, I kick down the door, there is a gigantic red barrel there. If you are playing a video game, you will open into the next combat arena and you see a red barrel next to enemies. What is your instinctual thing to do? Shoot the red barrel. That is explosive. And when you shoot a red barrel, it explodes. And everyone dies around it. We can make this work. We just need to make incidentals a lot bigger part of it. And if incidentals work with the combat arena system, guess what, kids? We can put it in Cruciform. You didn't realize it, but this is just a convoluted way to make Fortissimo Cruciform. The ride never ends. Oh, man. How does this cute? The ride never ends. Again, you didn't realize this, but this entire set of streams is just going to be a prolonged, self-help novel. My life is in fucking shambles. I started playing Skyrim again. Like, it's fucking over. Though I'm gonna talk about this for a minute here while I sip on my coffee. I bought Skyrim. Yes, I fell for it. Todd Howard has got me again, that son of a bitch. Mind you, I have not played Skyrim since I had an Xbox 360. Yes, Skyrim on the Xbox 360. You must remember this. This is about, 2013 maybe? It has been over a decade since I have played Skyrim. So, I bought the Anniversary Edition. Nope, I've never played it modded. And never played Skyrim modded, never played anything like that. But I downloaded it, and I started playing through it again, and I realized some things. It's such a bizarre experience playing through Skyrim. And I'm playing it the way Todd intended. That's the big thing. My first kind of test run through is, as I would like to refer to it as casually, as God intended. With Creation Club items. And what do I mean by that? It is going through the game the way that you're kind of supposed to, going on little Radiant quests, walking around. And it's really fascinating because when I was a young lad, when I was a little boy, little German boy, one might even say, with my propeller hat and giant lollipop, I remember playing Skyrim and being like, holy shit, this is amazing. Oblivion was astounding, but damn, this game is great. And I remember one distinct thing. I never finished Skyrim. Nope, never finished it. I think I got past the Greybeard section and just never played it again. I mean the first Greybeard section, by the way. Not even the end of the game or whatever. No, the first Greybeard section. Because I got bored. I'd played it for a long ass time. But I just did little weird quests and stuff. I never really played the game the way you're supposed to. And it's funny playing the game now, of just walking through and doing things, where I'm like, huh. Yeah, born too early to play Skyrim, born too late to play Skyrim, born just in time to play Skyrim. Exactly. And it's funny because playing all of the Elder Scrolls games. That's the funny thing. I want to remind you all, the Elder Scrolls playthrough, I do have a plan for it. I would like to do it because it is a very funny experience. But just kind of sitting down and like playing through everything, I'm like, Jesus Christ, these games are extremely different from one another. Like, it's weird how things have changed. And even playing Skyrim, I'm like, man, where's my skills? Oh, thank you very much, Clockwork Parade. I'm like, where are my skills? Why can't I min-max my athletics? Wait a second, what happened here? What happened there? And it's very interesting. It is a truly remarkable experience. But yes, I do have the Elder Scrolls cycle. I would like to do that because I do think it would be interesting to play through every Elder Scrolls game in order. This is an important thing. In order. Only the main ones. I don't think playing like Redguard would be real. I don't think playing Redguard and I don't think playing Battlespire would be interesting because they're very janky games. Because they were trying something very different. The Arena and Daggerfall playthroughs will take a while, Lamau. Like Daggerfall, the ones that I think would take a long time. It would be Daggerfall. Daggerfall will take a long time, and I think Morrowind would. Arena is like, oh, Arena takes forever. Not really. The problem with Arena is that it's very old and it's very janky. But yes, we would be playing in release order. We would be playing effectively. This was I actually wrote this down because what I wanted to do. My genius plan. Let me see if I can find my my notes here. That's not my notes. That's definitely not my notes. Oh, okay. So, I actually wrote some notes down. So, what I wanted to do was that each game we play a different race class combination. Obviously, playing that in, classes meant a lot more in the earlier games, obviously. And in Arena, they mean a fuck ton. Arena's a really interesting... Here's the thing with Arena. Arena is really fucking interesting from from a perspective of a TG writer, traditional games and all that. Because it shares so much blood with it, like a weird, uncanny amount. But yeah, no, we would be playing Arena first. And for those who don't know, Elder Scrolls Arena. Elder Scrolls Arena has the entirety of Tamriel on it. Yep, the entirety of Tamriel you can explore, except the Imperial Province. That's one thing that they do a little bit of a deceptive trick with you, a little bit. They say, oh, you can explore all of this. That's a fucking lie, by the way. Fun fact, they are lying to you. Most of this are the exact same maps, effectively. This is effectively 3 maps. There is a in the middle of nowhere map that's randomly generated. There's a village map, which is randomly generated, and a city map, which is randomly generated. There is so much. See all this. There is a insane amount of proc gen in this game. And it's weird when you think about it, how much, procedural generation there is in Arena. But you cannot even see here from the little stats, pulled up here, all the different stats are there. There's defense modifiers to hit modifiers. Oh, it's nuts. Even down to the way that technically the different ways you can swing your weapon. Yeah, that's a thing. That is a mechanic in Arena. The ability to swing your weapon in different directions. Why would you play Arena? Because it's funny. Because it's interesting. Genuinely, it's an interesting thing. Daggerfall is... Here's the thing. if you look at things from like a purely like scale perspective, like just pure scale, like Skyrim literally just takes place in Skyrim. Daggerfall takes place all throughout here. I think it's something like this. That's like Daggerfall. It's the Iliac Bay. Arena is everything. Morrowind. You gotta remember, Morrowind is not even in Morrowind. It's in Vardenfell, which is just the island of Morrowind. And then Oblivion is the entirety of the Imperial Province. And if I remember correctly, Redguard takes place on a singular island out there. ESO technically takes place everywhere, but also doesn't take place everywhere, you know what I mean? And Battlespire is in the Imperial City. I believe in the Imperial City. And if I remember correctly, Tez 6 is going to be in Elswire. Where's Tez 6? Tez 6 area. Oh, it's yeah, it's expected to take place in Hammerfell and High Rock. Okay. So it's either going to be, I've heard Elswire, I've also heard Hammerfell, because Hammerfell is actually a pretty interesting place for adventures and stuff. Like, very interesting little thing there. But this is, I'm going to take this, I'm going to put it over here a little bit, so we... But, in Arena, what I wanted to play was very specifically a Redguard Knight. Why do I want to play a Redguard Knight? I want to play that because magic is really fucking weird in Arena. Because magic in Arena is like a weird DOS click system. It's very funky. And if you play a knight, you don't have magic at all. That might change, but the reason why I want to play a Redguard, because the first major dungeon you need to complete is in Hammerfell. So you need to go to Hammerfell regardless, and you start with Hammerfell if you go to Redguard. So it just saves time. That's effectively all that it is. High Rock is Breton, is the land of the Bretons. High Rock is the land of the Bretons. Hammerfall is Redguard. Elsewhere is Khajiit, yeah. Oh, in Arena, they do not tell you, but there's different hit chances for how you swing your weapon. It's fucking bizarre. I love it. Now, Daggerfall, we were going to be playing an Orc Barbarian character. Why? Why are we playing an Orc Barbarian character in Daggerfall? Because one very important thing to note about Arena is orcs are not playable in Arena. They are not actually playable at all. And half of the plot of Daggerfall are the orcs establishing a nation. Yes, Orzammar would be right here in future games. But that's why you find a bunch of orcs in the Reach. Actually, fun fact is because they literally established their nation here. They are just wandering enemies in Arena. You can't play as them at all, and you also end up with the only note of what a Khajiit is. You know, Khajiit. That is a Khajiit, everybody. They're elves. Orcs they're also cats. Yeah, no, the thing is orcs. When you think of the concept of an orc in Tez, like if you do like if I just do like Elder Scroll orc, orcs are technically Mer that have been, I believe the lore was they were either cursed by Morgoth. Orthal? I can't remember. One of the Daedric princes. And that's why they look this very particular way. But they're technically considered elves in setting. They are Mer. And they're extremely, technically they are regarded as savages by most everybody because they just live in small clan holes and don't have a real nation until they established a nation for themselves, and then everyone's like, yeah, you're normal people. Yeah, these are Khajiit in Arena. They do actually have a specific name for them. They had to give them a special name. Yes, this is the only depiction, mind you, the only depiction of your ability to play. Let me see if I can find. Yeah, here's all your. This is the only. It's a very specific Khajiit subrace. Fun fact. Because Khajiit have a bunch of weird sub races. Almost right. Yeah, they are considered ohms. They are very specific. They have to be in a very specific thing, but they look like Bosmer. But technically, you can play a cat. Yeah, welcome. Again, this is why I would love to see an unironic, like, Tez game in Elsewire. Because this is a person with an actual job. He is a banker. It's like, yeah, is this a thing? Yes, technically there are cats who are Khajiit, actually. Don't think about it too hard. Came out corrupted as Malakath. Malakath, that's it. Yeah, I was like, is it Malakath or Malgot? Yeah. Now, for Morrowind, I actually debated on Morrowind. I've got two options. Option one is an Argonian thief. Yes, playing a filthy Argonian. Because I think it would be funny of the, who is the jokingly canonical Nerevarine, is technically a fucking retarded Argonian. Or a Dunmer Battle Mage. Because I like Dunmer. Here's the thing. If I ever get a chance to play a character in like any Elder Scrolls game, I almost always default to a Dunmer. Because I like Dunmer. I think they're just cool. They have cool backstory and cool lore. And yeah, very specifically here. And in case you're wondering, yes, neither of them would actually think they are the Nerevarine. Because I like the theory that you're not the Nerevarine. Well, you are the Nerevarine, but not. Now, for Oblivion, we were going to go with an Imperial, because Oblivion is the first time you can actually play a person from the Imperial province. You can play someone from the Empire. I was going to play that and do the Dark Brotherhood storyline, because I remember the Dark Brotherhood storyline being good. And in Skyrim, the last one, I was going to be playing a Nord. Well, more accurately, a Nord lunatic. Now, all of these are very specific. If you notice, there's also a couple very particular things. This is what I would like to do. And the idea there would be like, they're very directed playthroughs. Well, directed may not be the best word for it, but it wouldn't be like, episode 900 of my Skyrim playthrough, we go through 20 more dungeons that are the exact same. No. Like, what are we going to use for Daggerfall? I skipped Daggerfall? I was going to use a Orc Barbarian. Because Daggerfall, half the plot of Daggerfall is quite literally the orcs establishing a new nation. So I think playing a little bit more of a, hey, I'm a savage man. You could not play an Orc or nor an Imperial in Daggerfall? Yes, you could play. Wait a second. You could play it in Daggerfall, right? Can you not play it in Daggerfall? Huh, I thought you could. I honestly thought you could. Because again, it's a fairly major plot point in Daggerfall. Let me see. Let's see, we've got Argonians, we've got Bretons, Dark Elf, High Elf, Khajiit, Nord, Redguard. Why did I think that you could play a Orc? I could have fucking swore. I could have swore. Well, in that case, it'd probably have to be a Breton then. Probably end up having to play a Breton at that point because I think it would be funnier. I like Breton. Admittedly, literally, who are the Dunmore? They were Dark Elves. Yes, Dark Elves. One thing you have to remember is that all the elves hate each other. Literally every elf hates each other. It's not just the Dunmer. No one really likes the Dunmer. But yeah, no, like this would be my basic idea. Like, if I go with the Argonian Thief in Morrowind, the Imperial Assassin will probably get shifted around. The other option there would be like an Imperial Ranger. Because that's how I like playing those games. But yeah, the entire concept would be, hey, I'm going to try to play through the main quest, not get distracted by many things. Like, I know with, like, Arena and Daggerfall, I know there would be points in us playing which I would say, okay, cool, and then do things off screen, if that makes sense. Like, go through random gen dungeons in Arena and Daggerfall off stream, or do it in, like, the Discord or something, because it wouldn't be very interesting. Like, but like Morrowind, like Oblivion's not a very long game, and there's very certain quest lines I would want to pursue in Oblivion and do that and just that. Skyrim, pretty much I'm going to try to do it. If I were to do a Skyrim, the Skyrim playthrough with the Nord Lunatic, the idea would be trying to get all the Daedric artifacts. Yeah, Noir. The D100 game made for Tez. I have looked at it. I have read through it a long time ago. It's one of those games where every time I go into like, okay, I'm going to start looking at it. I have downloaded it. I've gone through things. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do this. They're like, by the way, we've updated the game again. I'm like, fuck. Yeah, Noir is effectively dropping a Noir on someone is effectively dropping a hard R on someone for being not from Morrowind. And even if you are from Morrowind, it's still like, hey, Noir, we don't like your type around here. Effectively, like, oh, we've dropped the metaphorical hard R. But yeah, I think it would be fun doing a Tez run like this because like Arena's a very interesting game to like reference. Just from a TRPG perspective, Arena's really fascinating. Daggerfall's really interesting. Even Morrowind has a little bit of that, not nearly as much though. It does change things. But like once you hit to like Oblivion and Skyrim, then you have more clear changes. For Oblivion, like, Oblivion was my first game. I love Oblivion. I have strong feelings about Oblivion. And I will fight to defend Oblivion through thick and thin. It is my favorite, and no one can tell me otherwise. Though, I have a fondness for Arena at this point. So noir is grounds for stabbing. Yeah. Since the moment you make them oblivion suit, stop! You violated the law! Admittedly, literally every cop in the Elder Scrolls has, like, 99 perception only when you commit a crime. Like, I punched a chicken in Skyrim. I ran away. And, like, 2 weeks later, I show up in Whiterun, and the guard's like, yo, bitch, give me money. I'm like, okay. Like, how do you know this? Who's the lunatic that decided to... Yeah, who's the lunatic who decided to report the guy punching chickens to the guards that apparently everyone now must kill me? Now, like, the thing is, they are planning on doing an Oblivion remake. I am very cautious on it. I hope... How do I best to word it? I don't think you could ever remake Morrowind. I don't think they will ever attempt to remake Morrowind. But why, Notepad? Because the Nerevarine engages in actual fucking slavery. And the Dunmer are a bunch of racist pricks. Literally everyone's a terrible person. Just got in. Why are we talking about punting chickens in Skyrim? We're talking about that because I was thinking about doing a for the Vidius streams. I was thinking about doing a huge playthrough through all the Elder Scrolls games in order. And we were just talking about Elder Scrolls, actually. How Elder Scrolls is a very interesting thing. How do you make a game about being a guard in TES? You play as a person with omniscience and the power to teleport anywhere. Hey kids, you want to fight the asshole slavers and asshole racists? See, the problem, Lubu, is the asshole racist is everyone. Everyone is a racist in Morrowind. They are racist against themselves at some point. You literally encounter characters that are effectively the Dark Elf variant of fucking Uncle Ruckus. Like, and it's one of those things. Like, the thing is with, like, Morrowind, why I say you can't really remake Morrowind today, is it was such a very particular early 2000s game, and the way characters act, the way people act, it's kind of like with Dark Sun. Like, you can't remake Dark Sun anymore, because if you try to remake Dark Sun, people will get mad that slavery exists in the setting. And people will get mad over the idea that, oh, hey, well, this is bad, and because it's in this, that means you support it. Being like, no. Like, the entire concept of Dark Sun is, breaking out of slavery, and, the entire idea of Morrowind is, yeah, Dunmer culture is kind of a fucking nightmare. It's a nightmare to navigate because everyone hates each other and there's so much, like, blatant racism between the different races. And that's why playing an Argonian would be funny, because Argonians are inherently looked down upon in Morrowind, which led to the Skyrim revelation of, hey, Black Marsh actually fucking invaded Morrowind. Yeah. Remember, everyone, it is canon that during the Oblivion Crisis, the Black Marsh invaded Morrowind. They literally just rolled over the province of Morrowind. I'm still waiting for the big book of fantasy slurs. Honest to God, here's the thing. I'm in the writing section, so I'm going to talk about writing for a little bit. There's just a little side tangent before we get back to how to shoot people. The big thing when it comes to writing a fantasy story, sci-fi stories, or anything like that, if people do not like each other, even if a little bit, there should be slurs. There's a reason why Clanker exists. Fucking clankers, am I right, boys? Like, that, it shows you just how mundane it is. I think that's a big thing. It's how mundane people hating one another is that you invent words to call them. If it's something brand new, we don't have a word for this. We're just scared. We don't call demons slurs. No, demons are very scary. You're like, yeah, fuck you, demon. Like, you get what I mean. Like, you know, but if you're really mundane, like, yeah, people from Morrowind calling you a Noir, that's so normalized at that point. And it's not like, ooh, you said something bad. No, it's like, you are a Noir. You know, come into my face again, and I will show you a Morrowind welcome. Yeah, like Dandelion Eater and things like that. Even just the classic Knife Ear. Like, Knife Ear, like, says so much. In even like a basic setting. If there are L's and you call them Knife Ears, that gives so much context to how people think about them. Yeah, like clankers and stuff. Like, yeah, oh, it's like we've been fighting this war for this long that it's just droids or just clanker. See, the thing is, yo, Knife here, you're hearing. Yeah, again, call it like just basic insults like that do go a long way to building out a storyline. Fun fact, everybody. The more you know. Like, if I were to do, if we keep the combat stance idea. If we call the idea of defense as our TN to hit. We established that. First things first. Defense is our TN to hit. Now, if it's our TN to hit and we want to be aggressive, that would mean maybe like 8 standard, 12 defensive, 16. It's a lot harder to hit you if you are acting defensive. Like, it is much more difficult. But going defensive means that you are going defensive stance-wise would be you hunkering down. It's you hitting the ground. You can't fucking fight hardly. You are hunkering down. You are holding the line. You are not doing anything productive. Going aggressive means you're doing a lot. Unless we want to... We can bump it up by 1. If we make it 4, 8, 12, more consistently you will get hit. A lot more consistently. Oh, Stunty, that's going in the book of grudges. So, if we go really aggressive, that means... Okay, so if we want to do the concept of how do we shoot the bad man? We shoot the bad man by... We make a combat check, which is going to be versus the defense target number of the enemy. Automatic weapons. Let's see. Automatic weapons. Successes, automatic weapons. Automatic weapons are successes. Successes equal hits. Precise weapons. Successes equal bonus damage. So we do that concept. So we need to break up how weapons are, but then we would do like melee weapons, that's successes equal hits. So if you're firing blindly, it's how many times you hit, how many times you deal bonus damage. You know, it's kind of like, so it's just, if you are shooting someone with a sniper rifle and you score 3 successes on them, you get bonus damage. You are rolling for bonus damage, and that bonus damage is puncturing right through things. You know, that is good. You want to do that. Automatic weapons, you might do d6 damage, but you roll and you get 6 successes. That's 6 hits. You go and then they get turned to Swiss cheese. Melee weapon, yeah. One third for story questionable question. End conclusion analysis was that settings high elves would work lower quality than dark elves, therefore the minority called vanilla elves. Manila jokes ensued. Fun facts, Lars, with positive slur for each species that exists in the game. Roll and keep system. Mind you, Spartan, yours did come in clutch, let's say. Your idea is still present in here, vaguely. In a slightly modified way, let's just say that. So it would be... Whoa! 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 Weapon damage times successes effectively. So with an automatic weapon, it might do d4 damage or something. You know, it might be like 6 damage or what, you know, d6 damage, but you hit 5 times. That means you've done 5d6 damage. Versus a precise weapon, which is, hey, I've shot you with the sniper rifle, 1 thing goes down. You know, I'm only going to hit you once. However, that is a shot that has tore through things, and you are now taking a lot more damage. This would mean, consistently speaking, you're going to hit enemies, but that's why we have the Palladium armor system. And that's why we have the Palladium armor system, yeah. If we possess the Palladium armor system, getting hit consistently isn't that big of a deal, because what you're doing effectively is saying, okay, here is... I'm taking damage. On the other hand, I have armor that soaks that damage. And that makes enemies without armor a little bit less scary. You go into things like cover, you're boosting your defense to hit, making it a lot more difficult to actually hurt you, but you're trading out things. I'm going defensive in cover zone, TN 16. That's fucking hard to pull off with any amount of dice. Like, that is not an easy feat to do. But that is also you crouching behind cover with your head down, doing nothing productive. Versus, I have jumped over the cover and I'm spraying wildly. Yeah, it's a lot easier to hit me. On the other hand, you know, I'm also a one-man army, and I'm killing you. I'm killing you before you can kill me. If we do... If we do initiative... See, we could do the idea of randomizing initiative each turn. It's stupid, don't get me wrong, it's very dumb, but we could randomize initiative. Make it a little bit more frantic as everyone's moving around. You know what we could do? If we do initiative is entirely your Twitch plus acuity or instinct. See, what we could do, let's say we have a Twitch of 5 and an acuity of 5. We could roll 5d8 for our initiative for one action. Consistently speaking, we're going to roll pretty well. We're going to roll them all together and be like, I've scored something very high. Alternatively, we could do the idea of, I do not want to roll. I don't, like, out of my 10 dice, I roll 5 of them. We get 5 extra actions? Ooh, that seems a little bit weird. Like, kind of like an idea of sacrificing initiative for a bonus to keep the pace up. We keep re-rolling initiative every round because you're effectively gambling. I am gambling for more actions. I'm gambling for more things. How much do I risk? How much do I pull back? Ideas, concepts, hit me. Alternatively, we could go for strike ranks. God, do we do strike ranks? Strike ranks, oh Jesus. We could do strike ranks, that's the worst part. The concept of strike ranks aren't difficult. The problem is strike ranks can get best way to word it in words of one syllable. You get, how do I want to word this? Let's say I roll 32 on my initiative. 32, I take my action. On 22, I take another action. On 12, I take an action. On 2, I take an action. I want to defend myself, I kind of start taking it from the bottom. Strike ranks are effectively actions per round, but it's very debatable in some places. That's a very simplified way of doing it. It would do best if we had a very set initiative if we do that. Alternatively, again, we could go for a variant of Surge. If we go for a variant of Surge, it's effectively I am spending a resource, i.e. my initiative, for additional actions. I want players to feel like they have a lot of authority over what's going on, so they're going to be rolling X, Y, and Z. If we do... How about AP as initiative? We do it like a contact method, or in Ultra Instinct, which is... The worst part is, we would have to be citing the idea of Ultra Instinct. That's another idea. Laughs in contact. Yeah. It would be contact. The entire concept is you roll for how much AP you get. That, and then you just descend from there doing more actions. When declares and the remainder is in order. See how many actions you actually want to commit. I mean, yeah, that's originally, if we go with like a set initiative idea, let's just do a set initiative idea. I.e. 10, but use 7, so you're initiative 3. I get the contact one. That's going to be what I was going to use for my V2 brigade when I start fucking procrastinating. I know that feel. Kind of the idea of what we could do for something like that is you have your set initiative. You can willingly go down to a lesser initiative. Let's say like by 10. It would be effectively you get one action around unless you buy more via strike ranks. If that makes sense. So that would mean someone who's already fast. Someone who's fast can be able to do multiple actions, but they would go lower in the initiative order. Someone who's a fat fuck may only be able to take one action, but they shoot their gun and, you know, that's all they really need to do. Fat fucks go last, but fat fucks go last, and when they do something, it's usually going to be painful. Or we just have everyone roll. That could be an option. Okay, let's say Twitch and Acuity are 5. Let's say it's together they are 12. We want to take a second action. Let's say it costs 5, so I go down to 7. Then I want to take a second action. I want to take a third action. It goes down to 2. I act on initiative 2, but I have 3 actions. Someone who's going really damn slow. You are deliberately someone who is fast is deliberately trading in the number of actions they can actually do in exchange for usually just raw speed. Doesn't matter how if we go for every interval of 5, that means every interval of 5 is effectively a new initiative rank that you can buy. However, burning all your initiative ranks to get 4 actions doesn't matter if you are lying in a pool of your own blood at the end. I think that works. I'm going to turn my light on, by the way, because it's pitch black in my room. And I would like to be able to see. Woo! Bubba lubba dub dub. That's what a popular Rick and Morty person says, right? Rick Morty? Popular Rick and Morty character, Rick Mortyson. Alright. No, not trade dice. We do initiative. Oh. Okay. We've got how fights break out draw guns, do things. We'd have to maybe see if we want to be really precise about things. We could say most combat rounds are like 3 seconds. Like, they're fucking fast. But if they're 3 seconds, you know, it's an action to draw your gun kind of thing. Because if we do the action to, like, draw your gun, that gives people who have the drop on others a pretty big advantage. And with it, when things like surprise come in, we can just say, you have +10 to your initiative for the first round. That means I get to act before everyone else, or I can spend it on a bunch of bonus actions before anyone else gets to do anything. Someone's already going to be fucking cracked and, you know, is on crank currently. They're going to go before you. It doesn't matter if you ambush them or not. They are already going so fast that their reaction speed just kicks in. Hmm. I guess that would give a weird amount of power to something like a Sandy. The idea to literally say, no, I'm taking more actions than I legally can. Fighting someone with a Sandy is fighting someone who wants to fucking kill you. Because the idea of a Sandy, they can say no and then fucking blow someone's head off. Okay. High on stims and get more AP. Yeah. The idea there, one of the things is, you're going to be effectively in combat armor. Like, you are in full combat armor. Absolute, like, you know, highest hardcore guy. Looks like he's out of the fucking Wolf Brigade kind of thing. You know, like, this is... welcome to Borzoi, high-level, thick-ass plate armor, effectively. You know, you're part of the Jinro Wolf Brigade kind of thing. Alternatively, you know, more lighter armor is more like a cloaker almost from Payday. Like, yeah, congratulations. Here's your, you know, here's what a fucking cloaker looks like. This is just, you know, just as much you as being part of the Wolf Brigade. You know, as you get roundhouse kicked in the goddamn face. What was that game you did the played autism for? Zombie Dark 30. I don't think we're going to go full into plate autism. I don't think that's what this game needs. But more kind of the idea of, like, if you want to do, oh, I want to do stims, I want to get high, I want to do things like that to do better. That's setup. That is, I am spending, instead of making my armor more durable, instead of making my armor, you know, able to do things, I am making my armor with the ability to shoot me up with combat stimulants in the middle of combat, just automatically without me having to think about it, without me having to take it out, open it up, take out the shot, and stab myself with it, which I would say is 2 actions. Take it out, open it up, stab. That's 2 actions. That takes a long time. That's 2 actions you could be spent shooting or running. Or both, hopefully. But hey, get auto stims, baby. Drugs are fun for the whole family. Remember that, kids. Mm-mm. There we go. If we make the concept of Overwatch in the game, not Overwatch the game, but the idea of the first time an enemy crosses my sights, I pull the trigger and they go away. If we want to do something like that, which again I feel is appropriate, we're probably going to have to address that, being like, this takes 2 actions to do. But if you declare this, if any enemy runs by, they get lit up. But that's the only thing you can do that round. Like, that is a full-on, I am spending my entire turn doing this, which may do nothing. Okay. If we want to do archetype, we don't want characters, we want basic system. We do... There we go, we call arrays. So if we do the idea of calling raises, the idea there is that a character can say, I'm fucking good at this, I want to accomplish more with my role, I want to accomplish more, and because I want to accomplish more, I'm going to say I can get 2 successes out of this. You're effectively doubling the target number. So if we look at this situation, a very standard 7 keep 2. And let's say we have target number 8. I'm going to roll all my dice. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I'm going to roll all my dice. I've rolled them. 7 keep 2. And let's see what my numbers are, everyone. Let's see. We love numbers. I love numbers. Not very good numbers, but... I want you to know that this is what I rolled, by the way. So this would be a pretty bad situation if you made a raise call. If you just wanted the standard roll, you have an 8 there, you succeed. Congratulations. If you... Yeah, so it'd be the idea of congratulations, you've done well. If you've made a call for 2, you can't make another 8 out of this, so you would fail the check. Alright. Then we do... Ideal roll. Again, anytime I roll as an example for anything, I can never roll above a fucking 1. Like, I want you to know that I even rolled the wrong die. I had a D10 there instead of a D8. And I still rolled a 1 on the D10. Like, I had worse odds of getting a 1. I still rolled a 1. Truly, I am the most impressive man in the universe. Call me Notepad. Fucking psychic. God, why? So, okay. Someone talk me out of this idea. Talk me out of this. For automatic weapons, we rely mostly on the die of the weapon, because that would be me holding down the trigger going brudda 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 brudda. I've scored 5 successes, that's 5 hits, and I could say, okay, you get 3 hits, you get 2 hits, as I just spray the area effectively. I'm just spraying in there. Whoever gets shot gets shot. A precise weapon is, okay, I've rolled 1 success, I'm gonna hit. 2 successes do what? 3 successes do what? Then how much of that, excess damage, what does that entail? Like, what would additional successes in a precise roll do that is not strictly damage? Pierce armor. Someone might get 2 trigger happy with Sand Vestine and become a nuisance for the party. Like, because like the idea of suppression would be, I am in a position, I have my SMG, I've got my AR or whatever, I'm in a location, my buddies need to get to cover. They are in zone 1, they need to get to zone 2. However, they are going to be, there are people coming up on them. What do we do? It would be the idea of, like, I'm going to lay down covering fire in the zone where the enemies are coming. If they walk, they take damage, which you can only do that with automatic weapons. So you're effectively, it would be, I've rolled 5 successes. I'm assigning not those 5 successes to saying, I just want to do, whoever comes in is going to take a shot from one of my 5 successes here. If 3 people enter, I can say, you get 2, you get 2, you get 1. If one guy enters, he gets lit up by all 5, but other people can go out and... So playing suppression is saying, using your successes. Playing with a big heavy gun. I guess the idea, like, Overwatch between automatic and precise weapons. An automatic weapons Overwatch is them sitting at the end of a hallway, someone rounds the corner, and that entire hallway becomes a fucking forest of lead. Like, just ammo is dumped down, one guy is tore apart. Precision weapons would be, I am sitting in the back, someone rounds the corner, I go bang, and he drops because he is wearing he's wearing a fucking leather jacket to a gunfight, and he falls over dead. but it's one shot versus multiple shots. Same idea, but the way, how do we... Okay, I'm going to ask a different question. You have rolled 2 successes in a combat check against someone. 2 successes on them. If you have an automatic weapon, you can say, okay, I want to use... let's say you had an automatic weapon. You would use those 2 successes and say, you're going to take 2 instances of my weapon damage. My weapon damage is d6. I'm going to roll 2d6 because you've been hit by 2 bullets, effectively. If this is a precise weapon, what happens? You roll multiple successes. What happens with those multiple successes? You have rolled exceedingly well. And remember, you just need 1 to hit. There's no auto fire on these things. You don't get multiple damage rolls. You get 1 because it's a precise weapon. It would be, what would happen? What would you want to have happen? Immediately, I would think like, oh, you get bonus damage. Or, oh. Ignoring armor, hitting soft spots. Okay, I'm going to propose something. Propose a radical idea. Let's say most weapons have a... How do I want it? Most weapons have a tag or something that they says... How do I want to... You can spend a success to do something. Automatic weapons have that by default, which you can say, I want to spend my XX successes on doing additional damage. I want to roll more weapon die. But a precise weapon might want to, you shoot and someone gets knocked down, or something is damaged, or we bypass armor or something. That seemed like a better idea, or we could just do just damage. It's just every success is just +1 damage. It's a very easy way of doing things. Tags like that could be fun. But with a system like that, that's the question. With a system like that, would you want the idea of what's on the right? So what does that mean? What does this actually mean? So let's take my my roll over here. I'm gonna put it over here. So that is target number 8 to hit him. I look over here, it's standard to hit. I have hit you once. I cannot generate any additional successes. If I have a automatic weapon, I shoot you with 1 bullet, effectively. I go bang, you got hit once. Probably not a lot of damage. If I have a precise weapon, either A, you can only spend it on getting the hit, but if we use the idea on the right, it's you do your base damage plus 1, 3, as it would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 extra damage. These dice are not used strictly for doing anything other than just adding a flat damage bonus. So instead of converting into successes, you could also just say, hey, I want to convert all of these die into doing something quote unquote useful, otherwise known as excess, bigger rolls. Rolling above the TN on a single die literally just means, hey, I don't need to spend as much die doing that. You need X number of successes to have this ability to activate a given ability thing to precision or technical weapons. So an automatic weapon, your entire gimmick is hold down the button and hope for the best. Some of them will have an ability or an action, but your main thing is that precision weapons are all about that, but you really only need 1 success to actually do your full damage. So I guess the idea would that be precision weapons are higher damage overall, but you don't get the excessiveness compared to automatic weapons. It's not like you roll 60 fucking damage or whatever. You know, an automatic weapon lights you the fuck up. Maybe excess failed dice can become AP, and you do any of the other AP actions. Precision weapon or utility, higher damage per bullet, have a higher damage potential. Yeah, exactly. It's like, I've got an automatic weapon. I go, someone goes, you know, this person gets turned to cheese. Versus a precise weapon, which would be most other ranged weapons, to be honest. In which case, you don't get that. However, you have a higher you have higher damage potential. The damage per die, and if you do that, that means you get a... I guess that would make certain weapons like ARs pretty valuable. With the ability to say... That also, I guess, gives burst weapons something a little bit more to work with, because the idea behind burst weapons is, like, you kind of get the best of both worlds. Like, you can go for a precise weapon, or you can go for automatic. If I've got a fucking even if you got something like a fucking P90 or whatever, like, yeah, P90s are really fucking good. They put bullets down range, and bullets hit you and go down. If you try to make it burst fire, though, you got to make those shots count. Otherwise known as you're switching to precise versus I'm switching to automatic. I guess full automatic weapons can assign any number of dice to successes, to bonus attacks. Burst weapons can only assign like 2. Can only assign effectively to hit and 1 additional one. Precision weapons can't do any of that, but higher damage, medium damage, lowest damage, highest damage potential, middling damage potential, low damage potential, however, a lot more utility. Okay. So having a burst weapon means you kind of have you're not great in either category, but you have the adaptability to navigate around there. Okay, so SMGs now have a role in society. Okay. So excess damage doesn't do anything for these guys. Excess die just add to his damage. It's just putting more force behind it. So you just want to roll as many dice as you can and succeed in you want to succeed at as few dice as possible. Because if you roll 8D, 8 keep 2, 8d8 keep 2, and you roll like 70, if you have this, that's not a little amount of damage. You can just say, okay, cool, I've succeeded once, I'm just going to add the rest of this. But yeah, okay, so we're going to have to make a note for myself. Okay. So yeah, that's how we would have to split up weapons. So it's... Automatics are nice and reliable. You want to bring an automatic with you into a closed space, because an automatic is going to get a lot of benefits from being in a closed-on space. Precision weapons are, rifles and things, which are very useful, but, as it goes down. Burst weapons are kind of the hybrid between the two of them, not perfect in... doesn't excel in either category, but doesn't have any major problems either. And then you have technical weapons, which these are very specific. They do very specific goals with very specific ideas behind them. Here is our, here's the idea, like, oh, you have a smart gun, which is like, yeah, okay, it's not, I'm not really even firing this thing. I'm holding down a trigger and hoping for the best. Semi's highest X does versus everything above TN. Yeah, okay. I think I'm feeling good on this. This works. Okay, so the combat nightmare is roughly sorted. That means if we bring you in, what we're going to call the corporate's benefit package. See, okay, so corporate benefit package. So, first things first. Successor and brain clone. I like the idea of the brain clones. Cool. Gives it a lot more flavor, which is pretty much just a, it is a safety net for characters who die. I can get a new body, life is great. Corporate housing. What does corporate housing do? Well, let's ask ourselves, what does corporate housing do? I improve my house, what do I get? Immediately what comes to mind, if we look over here, guess who would be a raise endurance slash raises your base health. You get what I mean? You get a bonus to your health. Someone else might have, bone plus meat. They might have 30. You have, you rolled a 20, but you live in a better place. You have a higher health. You have a higher chance of surviving, getting actually fucked up. Medical insurance. Medical insurance would be... Immediately what comes to mind is... Better medical insurance means you heal more between jobs, effectively. Really damn good medical insurance means I get new limbs. I guess that would be... I get my arm blown off. My medical insurance covers an actual replacement arm. Cool. Why do I have medical insurance? Because medical insurance is great. We want to do a, okay. Oh, wait, we gotta... Company banking account. There we go. Okay. We want to buy new things for our character. Fucking banks, legal team. Is it employee housing or mass construction housing or a penthouse? It would be, yeah, kind of the idea. The idea is you start off effectively in a share house. That's the best way to think about it. Imagine like a share house with your team. In a team, you are all legally still considered prisoners. If as you are legally considered prisoners, they don't actually have to give you anything. However, you upgrade, you can move out of the share house, get your own place. You know, it's a little bit more gradual improvement. You pay off all of your debt. They give you all your money again. Like, here's all what you technically are owed for, you know, we're not garnishing your fucking wages anymore. But if you retire, you don't get anything. So you kind of want to... Should they really get the option to get nice stuff while being debt slaves? Like, they are slaves. Well, of course. Of course, you can buy whatever you want. This is everything you want. Why would you ever leave? Why would you ever think about running off? We already own you. You have an ID chip already. You will never be able to open up another bank account. You will never own a home. If you run, you will effectively be a person non grata. Do they get calls from the marketing team? I guess it would be, in a fucked up way, we could too, it would be, effectively, you'd have to buy your contacts because you're going to corporate networking events. And that would be the, I know a guy from HR who can help us, or, hey, we know people from this other team, you know, they call something a PR team, legal team. See, you wouldn't have, like, your legal team is literally technically provided for you, and the legal team is the company's legal team. And they don't give a shit about you. Being like, oh yeah, no, you're going to super jail now. Oops, not our fucking problem. You still owe us. Like, by the way. Like, a lot of that would be the corporate networking events. Like, that's how much time, effort, and money you are spending effectively to keep people happy. Do you know people from PR? Do you know people from HR? Do you know people from medical or something? That would be the idea. You are completely networking. And because it would be networks, I guess it would be contacts inside and outside the company. Do you know a guy from the, like, do you know a guy from the insurance company that you could call if you had a question? Yeah, okay. So, all of these cascade upwards for like 10 steps, let's say. Bar debt, obviously. What else are we missing? I think that would be a pretty big GM thing. Like, from there, what I would probably end up doing, like, I want to, like, how do I want to put this? As the GM, I'm not going to call you the GM. You are going to be the handler. Your job as the GM, as the handler, is handling these people. and with the kind of implication that your DMPC is the voice in the ear. And it's like, yeah, you like your voice because he helps you out and will do things for you because he wants to advance in the company. So, okay, you're deployed alongside another team. Get into a firefight with them and wipe their team, because I do not like the person that we're working with for this mission. And if you do that, I'll pull some strings. It's things like that. Like, corporate infighting bullshit is kind of a would be a more of a job kind of thing. Because what I want to have happen for like the random jobs and things that, you know, occur effectively is there are going to be bonuses if you complete the mission in X amount of time, if you don't have any civilian casualties, if there are no witnesses, if you destroy all evidence of us being there, kind of thing, you get a bonus to your paycheck. And your paycheck's effectively your XP. Never take away anything, though. It's not like you get deducted from your paycheck. You only get bonuses, because you want to know what people pursue a lot harder than anything? They pursue bonuses. Oh, I get more something if I do something? Cool. Especially if I do it on a person-by-person basis, too, where it's the idea of, oh, hey, do not cause any collateral damage. Everyone causes collateral damage except you. You get a bonus, because you know what you're doing. Warcraft for SXP Memento, exactly. Because we could also play with this a little bit, fun fact. Because not only would you be encouraging people to do things via the carrot, you would encourage people to also be a little bit more, how do I want to word it? Loose with their money. Oh, we've been getting all these bonuses. I feel great. I'm going to invest up in things. Oh, okay. You know, you don't have your paycheck. Most of your paycheck's now getting eaten up by things you've purchased, and you aren't getting any decent, you know, bonuses anymore. You have no money anymore. You know, shit. I've invested all my money in doing things. Oh no. Let's think. Oh, hey, oh, hi. Okay. So when you level up, not when you level up, but like when you get your paycheck, let's say our paycheck is like 30. That is effectively what we can do, is we can spend this paycheck on doing things. Let's say you've bought up a little bit. Your paycheck might be 12 at the end of it. That's your actual, like, how much do you actually get? Do you put it in a company banking account? You can only have certain amount in that company banking account. If it's left out in the dust, effectively, what do we do for money sinks? I guess that's a question. Oh yeah, but bad money management will always keep you in the company. Yeah, they want to keep you in there as long as possible. It's like, yeah, they want you to effectively buy up, but not get a raise. They don't want to pay you anymore. They want to give you bonuses for doing well, have you buy in a lot more so you can't leave. I guess what would be some good money sinks? Like, yeah, like I'm trying to think of like good money sinks in case you, if my bank account is full after paying everything, I put everything away, I do not have enough to buy anything though. I do not have anything to purchase, I do not have anything to do anything with. What do I do with that remaining money? Option A would be putting it into the skill. I guess the idea of the skill training course, which is dedicating money to learn about something. I'm paying X amount of money to get better at doing this kind of thing. I am paying an absurd amount of, like, way over match. But, or what else what else would be a good money sink? Like, really, because the idea of, like, oh, you have to, like, your retirement fund, that's kind of the end game money sink, is like, yeah, I want to put all of my paycheck in my fucking retirement fund. Because the company will match it, you know, and double it, effectively, you know? Yeah, like, what? How do you reflect creature comforts? Or do you... I'm trying to avoid the idea of... you just blow your paycheck on random shit, effectively. Like, nothing productive happens. You just blow your paycheck on stuff. You can't put it away anywhere. You put it under your bed, effectively, and just start blowing it on, you know, coke and hookers. How would you do that? I think that's the question. That's the big question right there, isn't it? How do you make sure people can't save money efficiently without buying more into it? And with that little amount of money. I guess it would be skill training course is a good one. Or do you just sock away X amount of money until you learn a new skill? Buy your own ammunition. Comfort stat, like, God, like, how would you even word that? Here's a stat that does nothing. That's a very weird thing to think about. Here's a stat that does nothing. Pay for their munitions and equipment. So you actually have to pay upkeep on all your shit? I guess that would be the idea, is kind of, if you don't have any room to put your money, the Borzoi would effectively take it. You know what we could do? We could do that idea. Kind of a multifaceted way of doing it, by the way. It would be, you have to pay to upkeep all your equipment and weaponry. Most equipment and weaponry is per mission kind of thing. Hey, it's not a lot, but it's something. And if you don't have enough, you can't use a weapon. You don't have your armor's not fixed up, and you can always get more. Like, we're always going to give you the bare minimum, but it's going to be the bare minimum. But unless you buy insurance, in which case the insurance company covers all of that, because you're just effectively paying their insurance rates. You're paying for your own insurance. I guess that would be like, if you are legally getting your wages garnished. Legally speaking, you are being paid below minimum wage currently because you are a legal prisoner of you are a legal prisoner of theirs, and they are garnishing your wages due to that. You don't care enough to look too deep into it, or just aka fraud. But does that play into the fantasy, Spartan? Does that play into the fantasy of being a corporate death squad? You are a... I guess that would be, we keep the costs low enough for the bait, like, we, okay. Debt slave, so why shouldn't, I mean, you are a debt slave, so why shouldn't they take some of your 10% of your paycheck, go blow it on super hookers or giga LSD? So after all of that, after we've paid for everything, we still have some left over. Where do we put the remainder of it? I guess literally having... I guess people wanting to burn a little part of their money for something very arbitrary. Like, you can spend as much as you want into it, kind of thing. The option to drop it into your bank or pour more into your debt. I guess that would be the option. Because I was thinking... Yeah, I guess you would have to just pay off your debt with the remaining bit of it. Yeah, I think that works. I think that's a fine. Because it's when your bank is full, you can't spend any more. So you would just have to spend it all in your debt. That would be the idea. Okay. I guess if someone rushes to pay off all their debt, like I'm going to put all of my paychecks into my debt. We need to make the idea of getting out of debt a lot harder. With the idea of saving graces. Actually, So the idea there, if we can have the idea of you have a very large debt right off the bat. Your debt's huge. Always building. Never, you are actively going out of your way to try and reduce it. But it's difficult, it's hard, it's something that's it is a prospect that is difficult to achieve. They could offer you bonuses, which is just here on your, if you succeeded this mission, you get a +5 bonus kind of thing. Like you get a 5+ bonus, fucking a little bit, but it's like it's a crumb more. It's a little bit more off my debt, a little bit more I can put into this, a little bit more XP, a little bit. The idea of the parachute objectives is like, hey, we'll cut 20k off your debt if you do this. But only one of you can. I think that would be... It'd be fucked up. We would have to put in a couple of those objectives. Like, very personal and very like... Yeah, no, be a soulless person. Yeah, I don't want to deal with, like, interest payments or anything like that. Like... The idea of, like, voiding that is you have the subtle one, the subtle concept of you can only go up so far in housing, insurance, licensing. You can only go up so far before your debt, if your debt isn't paid, legally you can't go up any further. You're kind of hard capped. And because you're getting your wages garnished, that's why there's no interest. It's just like, yeah, no, we're technically paying off your debt by, taking, 50% of your paycheck. Like, what do you mean you're taking half of my paycheck? Yeah, no, we are literally stealing a majority of your paycheck to fund you and to make sure we make money off of you. We can pay back you in a couple weeks. Yeah, when you're a debt slave, you can only get up the rank 4 and everything. Exactly. You're thinking with portals now. So that would be the idea, is like you want to break out of debt, and when you do break out of debt, that's like when the rest of the game opens, if that makes sense. Mashallah. Exactly, it just exists in Fusion because it's outlawed under Shayera. Like, that actually works, which is a fucking, you know, that's kind of the idea of what I want. It's like, once you hit, like, yeah, you are free to go. This character can freely retire, kind of thing. They will leave a free man, and they can, you know, do whatever they want. Legally speaking, we cannot hold you anymore. However, you can continue working for us. If you continue working for us, that means we're going to, you know, we'll match whatever your retirement fund is. And that's kind of the idea. Like, yeah, you can put as much as you want into a retirement fund. You don't got to pay off your debt at all. But we will match whatever your retirement fund is at the end of it. So if you put 50 grand in there, we'll put 50 grand in there as well. You put 500 grand. Damn shame they lose. Yeah. And that's kind of the idea, is like, you're so bought in at that point. Like, and that would be the idea. Like, you've created mass interest, you know, mass investment. And because you already have the nice house, the medical insurance, the armory, the, you know, bank account, yeah, at this point, sunk cost isn't a fallacy. What should be? Effectively, rank 4 is you are living lower middle class, even like really upper. You're effectively lower middle class by like our standards, roughly speaking. Like, you're not great. Life isn't great. You aren't in a penthouse. You aren't eating the best food available. But you also, with kind of the idea of corporate housing being your lifestyle, yeah, you own like a private apartment. Like, this is your private apartment that is larger than a fucking shoebox. You have good food. You eat real food. This is nice. If you get hurt, you can go to the Borzoi connected medical company, and they will treat you. You can go there, you will talk to a VI, the VI will give you the proper medication, and you might actually see someone. You might actually see a professional. Maybe, if you need it. Probably not. Hey, my bank account is really nice, and I like my bank account because that means I get more money for retirement. I don't want to be poor anymore. You know, and that's the idea, is... Yeah, it's the... One thing I did do it is the concept of Disco Elite, the concept of actually getting healthy in the setting is everything is becoming more and more automated. Not a robo-doctor, it's a VI. It is a virtual intelligence that dispenses medication. If you're fucking poor, you're dirt fucking poor, you go up to one, you say, I'm bleeding out, and it poops out some pills, meaning like, take these every 2 hours. You're like, okay. Like, okay. Like, will it work? Probably. Maybe. I don't know. You know, it's kind of the place where, in Cyberpunk Edge Runners, where Gloria passed away. Wait, fuck, Shiva. Then if it's that D&D turn 3 to level 6, getting out of debt is level 7, what else can you do? Once you're out of debt, you're effectively aiming for an ending, if that makes sense. And what I mean by aiming for an ending, it's, I want to save up a shit ton of money in my retirement fund and retire to the goddamn Bahamas. I want to become a multi-millionaire, lay down in the Bahamas, drink martinis, and, you know, do whatever I want. Cool. Hey, I want to get into the company. I want to go full-time. I want to sit in an office job. And that takes time, you know, that's something you gotta aim for. And like, the thing there would be everyone would be aiming for what their desired ending would be. I want to go and make Outer Heaven be the big boss done. Yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, like, you want to do this. That's something you can aim for. What do you need for that? Well, sounds like you need contacts. Sounds like you need startup capital. Sounds like you need the okay to form you need investors. And you do work for a private security company, effectively. You work for a PLEC, you know, a private legal, you know, law enforcement company. And because of that, hey, why don't you go all in with everyone on the team? Be like, why don't you say, hey, like, guys, what if we, wild idea, pooled all our money together and we started our own company? We'll start our own company. It'll be called Outer Heaven. It'll be great. We all get equal shares. No fucking weirdness there. Or you may want to say, hey, I'm gonna shack up to the guy who runs the fucking Plex side of Borzoi. Yeah, let's go 50-50. Start a mercenary company off the coast of fucking Africa. Like, ah yes, capitalism grows capitalism. Because yeah, it's like, by the time you've reached that point, what I want to have happen is a player or a character is so bought into the corporate lifestyle that they kind of forget it doesn't really matter at that point. You're like, yeah, I want to start a new, bigger business that's going to do even better because I love business. I love money. I love being rich. This is amazing. Like, you're so bought in where you have that hard cut moment where you're like, oh yeah, I used to live in a shitty one bedroom, like not even a fucking studio apartment in the worst side of town, being a shadow runner or whatever. Damn, what a shame, you know, as you snap your fingers and, you know, the guy you pay to light your cigar shows up. And you're like, oh, this is nice. Should there be a decent amount of NPCs essentially show up, say, yes, you can pull yourself out of debt slavery? I think you wouldn't need a lot, but I think a few, with the idea being like, yeah, you can make it. It's possible. However, it's kind of the idea of like, yeah, you can make it, but you have very much sold your soul. It is at this point, like, yeah, he's rich, he's powerful, he's wealthy. He doesn't give a shit anymore. He could care less. You know, it's kind of that, you know, it's like, how can actors and all these really rich people be depressed? Being like, yeah, because that's a universal fact of life. You know, it's a mental thing. It doesn't matter how, you know, much things you have. Hey, you sold out everyone you care about, and now everyone you used to know fucking despises you because you are you sold out like a goddamn cuck. And you're like, well, I mean, am I the bad person? Maybe you are. Second, my mom's calling. Yeah, it would be, you could kind of say like nothing's really changed. I think that should be another thing, is like, yeah, the ship of Theseus is such a fascinating philosophical argument because you can always make the argument going either way. You've never really changed, but you have changed. Physically you've changed, but spiritually you maybe not. What is the ultimate cyberpunk story? Poor kid makes a bunch of money. You know, it's a rags to riches story. Usually it's a rags to slightly better rags, but everyone looks cooler doing it. Here it's the same idea. oh, well, we're at the bottom. We got to rise up. We got to do it. You're just, well, you're doing it in the scummiest way possible because you don't give a fuck anymore. Why should you? You have sold out. You have sold your soul for doing the exact same shit you were doing. Yeah, poor kids, gets out of the sun, gets chromed out, fucking dies getting to the top. You don't want that last part. And that's what you're trying to avoid. And I think that would be the ultimate thing, is you're trying to avoid getting burnt out. Because again, you see a lot of the time in these cyberpunk stories, the guys who take the deal. Oh yeah, sold out. Usually doesn't end well for them, and that should be kind of a fact as well. Like, it doesn't usually end well. On the other hand, you got a better chance than them, though. You got a better chance than most. So, use it. Try not to die. Oh, pro tip, don't die, fucko. So if we do... This is our corporate asset management. We know how characters act. We know when the date is. We know when the date is. I was doubting myself on the place again. I want you all to know that. Effectively, I'm either... Ooh, God, did not mean to do that. Like, right now, if Borzoi is about the conceptual death of cyberpunk, and, Neurobeat is the how do we get here, finding that's, that place, I decided on it was either going to have to be Minsk, technically the other two options. Okay, no, nothing further. We're good. Minsk, Belarus, or... Fuck. Oh, yeah! Thank you very much, Corey Bantism. Let's think. Okay. So, the two options I was thinking of, when setting this into play is, Minsk. Why Minsk? It's a really weird Eastern European place. A lot of weird shit can go on there. Nice, big battleground area. Alternatively, there's Taipei. Why is Taipei kind of an interesting place? Because Taipei got fucking carpet bombed, effectively, into the goddamn dirt. In setting. Most of Taiwan is kind of a shit show because China invaded and then got sieged down for a couple of years by the US Navy before everyone kind of left. So it's like, okay, the idea of like, oh, we've got it's the new Taipei miracle kind of thing. Like, you're just one of these, more of these companies entering. I think both have the idea is you can probably set this game anywhere, but if we want to do writing, where would it be? So Taipei is just the new South Korea. Different, but to a degree. Effectively, the CCP in setting, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, does invade Taiwan after everyone gets redirected down to South America. During the crisis down there. They invade. However, it is a shit show. It does not go well. It's not an easy conquest. Oh, the US Navy's not there, it's going to be easy. No, it was not easy. A lot of people died. Very, very dirty. But they win. China takes Taiwan. However, oopsie doopsie. We've got a problem. U.S. Navy comes back battered, but still around. And the battered U.S. Navy lays siege to it. It's a shit show. They eventually leave. The Chinese government is effectively collapsed at this point because they ran out of money. And turns out, when you when you build your entire economy around a service economy, effectively, where it's, you do things for other people, and everyone expects that your party is in power because green line goes up. When the green line is red and it's going down and everyone knows it's because of you, yeah, things don't last too long. So it's, okay, yeah, the CCP kind of collapses, but it's now kind of returned into like a... The CCP is still in power. However, it's the guy who owns Tencent actually running things, kind of thing. It's... We've modeled our Communist Party to be a corptocracy. Oopsie doopsie, how does this keep happening? So it's just like, yeah, Taipei is effectively a conquered city in a China that's completely changing. That's why I was like, that was one option. I always have to do this because it shows exactly where I fucking live anytime I log in. But either A, we stick around here, kind of the Eastern Europe, because Eastern Europe's kind of a shit show. I don't want to be in the Middle East. Why don't I want to be in the Middle East? Because Neom is already here, and Neom is its own thing. I don't need Neom to be like, I don't need it. We keep coming back. We don't need to. We have that story. It's done. But yeah, it was like Singapore, Ho Chi Minh City, somewhere in Indonesia. Again, I was thinking Taipei because, again, it's right here. You got a lot of influences around. There, I was also thinking Hainan, because Hainan is a very weird place, by the way, especially Sanya. Sanya is fucking weird because this is a gigantic tourist trap. Fun fact, and it is a known fact that this is a gigantic tourist trap. If you can even see the fucking hotels, some of the hotels and shit they have around here, it's completely bonkers. But why would anyone care? Oh, it's weird. And of course, we've got some more like traditional ones. Hong Kong, Guangzhou. Guangzhou is a fucking... Again, any Chinese city is effectively a cyberpunk dystopia if you look hard enough. Fun fact. That's just something you always have to... you kind of just gotta admit, like, yeah, okay, yeah, no, you're all horrifying, cyberpunk dystopias. Shanghai, glorious Shanghai. Weifeng, we go to South Korea. Like, even like how dense fucking like Busan and Seoul are. Like, look how dense Seoul is. Like, it's like, this is perfect. See, if I want to do a meme, I would set it in Pyongyang. Glorious Pyongyang. Do you wish to go to glorious Pyongyang in this game? You too can learn about Great Leader. Don't you want to learn about Great Leader, everyone? Pyongyang, North Korea. Yeah, there's a couple cities, couple places in this beautiful world of ours that would work pretty well. Yeah, oh wait, yeah. Common gobbledygook lore. What happens with the Koreas? I don't talk about it. That's the fun thing. They do not get mentioned. China gets mentioned, not really. 2089, Taiwan buys China from Temu for 17 cents. Yeah, by like 2089, it's kind of all just the exact same thing. Because you got to remember, 2087 is when the show happened. The entire economy collapsed. So the government stopped existing in China for a time. Turns out when you're a corporatocracy, things go poorly for you. But yeah, there's a couple cities here that would work really well for this. And that's kind of one thing I want to do is like, hey, if I want to flesh out this world, we don't want to worry just about Neom. We want to worry about other places. And I think that's why I was thinking like Taipei. Because Taipei would effectively be a completely different city than it originally, because it would be turned to fucking dust, effectively. Like... And I actually looked this up. If you wanted to rebuild a city, yes, you want to rebuild an entire city, it would take about a decade. It would take about 20 years. And this event would take about 40 years. Would I be popular literally anywhere? No. It would be an international organization rather than a local affairs company. That's why, again, it kind of, wherever you put it, it's going to influence that location a lot. Because the premise behind Borzoi as a company is that it was a PLEC. It was a private law enforcement company. They were not doing well. 2 other companies go in on them as well, and they form a joint venture, effectively, with Borzoi. And now you've got these 3 companies working together. It was effectively a startup. You know, you are a part of a startup that got bought out by fucking Google. You are the Hulu of private security firms. Not even Hulu, really. So it would be like, okay, there's a lot of cities that would work. You know, Singapore would work, Jakarta would work. Like even down south, I wouldn't say necessarily like New Zealand, but like someplace in like Sydney or Melbourne could also work. I was thinking up here because it's just like how dense some of these cities can be, and like how, like Chongqing, for example, like Chongqing is fucking huge. Like people don't talk about that. Chengdu, and you'd be like, where would a place where the concept of I am literally buying another human being to kill people for money. Like, we are committing heinous acts against humanity. On the other hand, morally speaking, we don't care. We have crossed that immoral event horizon. We are on the other side. We are enjoying life. I'm like, where is the, like China would be weird. Like, putting in, like, in South Korea would be really funky. Yeah, like, again, a lot of places down here, or Eastern Europe, where, again, Minsk would work. I would have to kind of start looking around here a little bit more. If I wanted to do a funny, I could just say, hey, by the way, it's in Kiev, Russian Kiev. Just... Africa, wait, doesn't UAE have indentured servitude? Yes. But again, we don't want to set it in the Middle East, because we already went to the Middle East. Again, it's not slavery, it's just... legally speaking, we own you, and we cannot let you do things legally. Hell, even like South Africa could, like, even like Cape Town or like Pretoria, probably not Pretoria, like even like Cape Town could work. Like, really in the US, I can't really see any place like this working exactly the way I want. Like, down south, like, if I ever do a full-on military game in this setting, it'll probably be in South America. Just because it's such a shithole down there. Sorry, everyone, we're going to Cambodia. I'm not even fucking talk about it. And I was looking, by the way. I was like, I want, what do we have? Russian cyberpunk, Belarus cyberpunk. Like, what do we got there? Nothing. Nothing at all, by the way. Like, there is literally nothing, for it. So I was like, well, shit. What do we, cyberpunk, Belarus, cyberpunk fashion week. I'm like, cool. Again, I hate Mike Pondsmith. Like, absolutely loathe Mike Pondsmith because, again, everything has been perverted by this. Like, I guess it would be like a neo-noir. Yeah, like... No, nothing's fucking here. It's fucking Belarus. Yeah, it is. Set it in East Poland and explain nothing. As the nation of East Poland. That would just be Warsaw. I already know a Polish man. He would get mad at me for doing that. Yeah, that's USSR. Because you gotta remember, it was, isn't that all the better reason to do it? Vietnam. Vietnam could work. Luckily, we do actually have a Vietnamese person. The question there would be, do we want to set it in Hanoi or do we want to set it in Ho Chi Minh? Both of which are very funny. You know, here's my cyberpunk death squad, you know, in this. We want to get a feel. We want to get a feel across. We want to get a full feel. Independent. Corporate hell state. I want to do a corporate hell state. Bangkok. I slam my penis on the car door. Yeah, good old Bangkok. See, the worst part is, if I were to... Yeah, okay, you know what? Let's not do Southeast Asia. Let's not do it around here. Because what we could do is we could literally just try to make Ranipur. Roanapur. There we go. Roanapur. Like, Roanapur is barely even a real city. And, like, that's where I would want to... I think putting a game in Roanapur... I can't believe it's not Roanapur. Would be really interesting. But I think that would have to be... Okay. Let's plan this out. If we've got the Southeast Asia, that is your welcome to Neo Cyberpunk kind of thing. We want to do that. That means we shouldn't do it in China or in Asia if we're thinking that ahead of time. Ah, Lagos. What a beautiful city. Lagos isn't actually that bad if you we're actually going around it. It's a pretty nice place, honestly. Don't want to deal with that. God, do we set it in Europe somewhere? Hey, it's a time-honored tradition to burn people alive with tires. At least that's mostly down here. Like up here is just, well, North Africa. North Africa's a fascinating place. God, again, like London would work. I mean, San Fran. Just lead into the startup culture. If we put it over here, we would have to lead into the startup culture kind of thing. That could work. If I was feeling especially soulless, I would say, let's put it in Vegas. But I don't think putting it in Las Vegas would work. Do we put it in... What about Venezuela or Haiti? Venezuela is part of the shit show brigade, and if I want to do anything in South America, like if I see, the problem is if I go over here, if I do this. If I put it over here, it would effectively be that war game in South America. It wouldn't be a war game necessarily, but a story about, but a game about, you know, very strict conflicts. There would be that Shadowrunner, There we go. Otherwise known as i.e. Bangkok. And then... I guess we'd have to set it somewhere in Europe then. You'd be at the ground floor of this untapped potential. The problem is, in setting, most of South Africa, no, it's not South Africa, most of South America has been reduced to ash. Like, it is a shit show down there. Literally Falklands War 2, except the British went a little bit goofy, as one might say. A little bit silly, even. Actually, does Omnitech still run London? Neurobeat. Does Omnitech run London? South Americans were blooding the country in flames of the British onslaught, gone bad paid, shifted hands yet again, more bombed out field, and dead, just to keep the country functional. Now, let me see. Less public birth, private police, 2049 metropolis. Well, the main powers of Europe, Asia, Africa, parts of the Americas, noticeable problems out of the U.S. But after the Pax Republic of the 60s, most of the USA's shadow itself, individual states bicker among one another with the government. Why not have that? Guess I don't. I must have taken that out. Huh. Does the Land of Oz count? I mean, Sydney, Australia looks like a tech startup city, or a city where tech startups happen. Australia has its own issues. Yeah, I guess I don't really talk about it, but I also guess the Pax Republica. We could do something in the U.S. What are we thinking? Do we go to the US of A or do we stick in Belarus? If we are in the US, we will probably stick on the East Coast. Well, West Coast, I should say. We'd be on the West Coast. Former Soviet funnies. Former Soviet Union is very funny. Let's think. I guess, yeah, I guess we could just make Minsk. Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do Minsk. There's a lot of weird shit you can make in Minsk. Soviet architecture. I mean, I guess that would be the question of Soviet. It'd be Soviet cyberpunk. The weird thing. Again, it's hard to find anything. It's hard to find anything because, again, the Soviet Union is a thing in cyberpunk. Is a thing in Cyberpunk, the franchise. Again, I fucking hate you, Mike Pondsmith, for doing this. Yeah, not really much to work with here, people. I mean, there's gotta be something. Neo-Soviet brutalism. Just extreme brutalism. Actually, Brutalist Arcala, yo. Neo-brutalism. Neo-brutalism. Oh, God. It would be, God. What? How do neo-brutalism? That doesn't... I have a feeling that's not the... So just... Okay. Yeah, we can see what we can do. Okay. You know what? Fuck it. What was the reason against India again? I couldn't think of a good place in India. Let's see. Neon hammer and signal on a concrete square. Yeah, there's a couple places in India that could work. It's just very, how do I want to word this nicely? I have a feeling that if I put Borzoi in India, the only thing people will talk about is the fact that it's in India. And I don't want that. Okay. Then it's kind of a weird city to set anything in. Okay, we got our benefits package, we got how combat functions, we got how the system works, got how characters are. Okay, so another question to the masses. I'm going to ask you a very simple question. If I said to you, you need to choose a skill set, which is a career that you had, or a career that you are, a skill set, which is roughly, you think that each career is roughly 3 major skills. Do you think you could come up with them for a cyberpunk game? Just top of your head, yes or no? Vaguely, yes. Okay. Probably think of 3 general skills. It's the skill system of how I'm thinking about doing the skill system is, again, it's like, okay, here is your career, or like, here's a job that you did, broken down into vague slots effectively determined by your background or whatever your archetype is. So if you have an archetype that is like a street samurai, for example, street sam are going to have combat and criminal, backgrounds they can choose from. Each background is, roughly speaking, 3 what we would consider skills, all mashed together. Vague, but a little bit defined. Or would we want to have... What do I want to word? if you select an archetype, would you want to have, here are vague skill sets? Gunslinger, soldier, street merc, things like that. Or would you want to write those in yourself? Does that make sense? Let's actually confirm. Lazarus Weeping, Snap Limbs, Disco Elysium. Yeah, Mavericks are still there. So we would want to do... Yeah, okay. So just provide examples. All right. It's... See, I'm trying to think, like, when you think of cyberpunk fiction, like, when you think of cyberpunk fiction, the basic character types, let's, See, it's problem, like, because if you do like cyberpunk archetypes, the problem is, it pops up this, and fucking cyberpunk will be the death of me. I swear to God. It doesn't, like, this doesn't really, like, a lot of these don't help much. Kira, Also, I want everyone to know, by the way. I want every single person to know why I fucking hate cyberpunk in about every single, capacity. Cyberpunk is a technical registered trademark. Yeah, it is a registered trademark by CD Projekt Red and Sony Music. I want you to remember that. That's one thing you always gotta remember, and it's great. Don't you love it? Don't you love society bottom text? I mean, if we look at, like... How do we want to do? I guess what would you call like a technical person? Like tech. Mm. Mm. Because a techie could have the background of being a hacker, but you can also say, oh well, like my street Ronin knows how to do hacking stuff, and like, okay, that's gonna change the nature of him. The Face Man talks to people, Daredevils are really fast, techies are that way. What would be Tech Bro? That would be a techie. Whiz Kid. What's the Whiz Kid? Yeah, what would be the Whiz Kids thing, though? What would be the Whiz Kids thing? Just being smart, I take it. Vibe hacker. Hey hoo-ha. Hee-hoo. It would effectively be a skill monkey. Yeah, what would you call the skill, like, like this is very basic. Oh god, it would be yeah, Molly Millions is a straight Sam. That's obviously a techie. I'll have you know that Molly Millions keeps showing up in things that I end up writing. It's a problem. Yeah, it's Case. Yeah, if you want to see the the birth of Trinity and Neo, it's this, by the way. Except Neo isn't doing fucking horse tranquilizers. Is she your Tulpa wife? No, that's a different one. Yeah, the thing is, this is one thing you always gotta remember. Neo and Trinity are effectively these two. It's Molly Millions in Case. Yeah, it's a Chiba City God. Yeah, welcome to Case. Yeah, Case is hilarious. Case is a hilarious character, by the way. If you have never actually read Neuromancer, I do recommend it. I do really enjoy Neuromancer because Case is fucking hilarious. And I'm not saying I played a Shadowrun character. Oh, that was effectively just Case, but yes, I did play a Shadowrun character that was effectively just Case. Tweak has done his best. Literally, Case's entire, like, motivations are, hey man, I really want to do hardcore drugs. Like, Case, you can't just do hardcore drugs. Like, Case, that's not how any of this works. You can't keep doing just hardcore drugs everywhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Johnny Mnemonic. Yeah, Johnny Mnemonic is also a very weird character who does things. Yeah, Molly. So yeah, so Molly Millions. Molly Millions would be a street Sam. You would be street Ronin. Case would be a techie. This needs a new name. I don't know what that name will be, though. I will think on that. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, we could do something. Again, like... Also, does the team need a medic? Again, it's kind of the idea of these are just informing what your attributes are going to be. All of these will have a dice value for these are actually spreading out a little bit too much. So all of these have have dice values up for these things. So it's kind of like a really basic concept. Let's say we want to make a street Ronin. Ronin, please type the words correctly, notepad. So, the street Ronin would have, like, I'm just going to put down numbers, by the way. Do not treat these as gospel. So the street Ronin would have stats like D8, D4, like D4, D6, D4, D8, D10, D10, D8, or something like that. They are going to be fun. Like the street Ronin is going to have different attributes and different things up here, and also a different set of skills. As a street Ronin, you get a combat, a technical, and a, I don't know, like a criminal career. Those are your options, so you have to select one for each of those categories. But if you're playing a techie, you might get 2 technical ones instead of combat one. So you're not going to be good at combat really at all, but you don't need to be because your job isn't to do combat. That's kind of the idea, is like they serve as a springboard. So these would be a springboard into different careers. Kind of like an in-person medic would be like, yeah, I was a bone doc or something kind of thing. Being like, yeah, my job was being a street doctor, and that's how I got, hit. That could fall into a couple different categories. If you want to go under the idea of, yeah, I was a street doctor in the middle of combat. I'm literally a combat medic, street Ronin. If you have got a good aptitude or something. Be like, yeah, you're a street Ronin. What does that mean? I literally kill people for money, but I also can bring back my guys from getting completely fucked. I can make calls. I know what a bullet wound is. I know what, I can treat things in field. But a techie medic is going to be, yeah, I sat in an office, my job was, people came to me if they wanted to get patched up. I installed cyber limbs, I've installed all this shit. That's what they came to me. Well, Skill Monkey is, yeah, I can fix you up easy. My job alongside 9 other things. Does that make sense? very open-ended, the way you can do things. If I do in-mission healing, like, the idea of in-mission healing will be temporary, effectively. And that's how I would have to see it. Being like, yeah, this is effectively temporary healing. You are spending time not shooting to, yeah, it would be kind of... Because you can put a few different people in the category of a street Ronin. And the idea of a street Ronin is just someone who is a big, tough guy who gets down and dirty. They'll fight. They'll kill people. They are professional mavericks. Face men. What is face men? Con men. They're, sometimes faces for, mavericks kind of thing. All of you will be a maverick. That's kind of the idea. At one point in your history, you are a maverick. And as a maverick, you have these skills. So yeah, a skill monkey would probably need to have something related to a gig, like gig economy stuff, but I don't know how I want to word that. That's going to be something we're going to have to think about later, because I am going to leave now, because it is 10 o'clock. I have not had dinner, though, yet, and I am... We're going to be writing this... Tomorrow's video is on a weird game called A-State, and A-State's a weird game, and it's going to be me just being vaguely confused about it. It's a very surreal game, let's just call it. Yes, it's called A-State. I want to remind everyone, it is A-State, not A-State. A-State, different from A-State, not state in that way, A-State in the more technical way. No, not that A-State either. A-State, proper noun. Well, other kind of proper noun. It's great. I love English.